Shutdown. Hello everybody, David Shuster here. In the clash with Republicans over the government funding bill, it is time for Democrats to grow a pair. And if that means voting to let the government shut down, so be it. On the politics and on the principles at stake, Democrats need to tell Republicans to go f themselves. More on that in a moment. First, here's the state of play. Government funding runs out at the end of the month.
Democrats and Republicans are locked in a standoff as Tuesday's deadline approaches to keep the government funded. The battle's currently in the Senate, where 60 votes are needed to pass a temporary spending plan, so it requires some Democratic support. And in exchange for their votes, Democrats want concessions like rolling back this year's Medicaid cuts and extending health insurance tax credits.
Okay, let's stop it right there. Those health insurance tax credits are a big deal. They are used to lower the cost of health insurance plans purchased in Obamacare marketplaces, and the tax credits are set to expire at the end of the year. But Republicans have made no effort to even discuss keeping or extending those benefits. And without the health insurance tax credits or benefits, healthcare costs will skyrocket for millions of Americans. And out-of-pocket healthcare costs are already about to rise because of the Medicare and Medicaid cuts that Republicans and Trump passed. Keeping the status quo on the healthcare tax credits is a modest request. Lawmakers in both parties should support that. But Republicans, through the years, have tried repeatedly to shred and undercut Obamacare. And the Republicans are doing it again now. The GOP, to keep the government going, is pushing a narrow 7-week stopgap spending measure, what's known as a continuing resolution. Democrats are withholding support, saying that in order to provide the votes for the CR and keep the government funded, or the status quo, Congress needs to protect the status quo with those healthcare tax credits. But again, Republicans have refused to even negotiate or discuss this. And House Speaker Mike Johnson, after muscling through the Republican stopgap funding measure in his chamber, put the House in recess through the end of the month. And that has eliminated even the possibility of a negotiation or compromise vote before the funding runs out.
The Republicans are following Donald Trump's orders to the letter. Stonewall, scapegoat, shirk responsibility. They're doing exactly what Trump told them to do. And then they skip town. No plans, no talks, no urgency. And the House adjourned till October 1st. If there were ever a sign that the Republicans wanted a shutdown, that's it.
House Speaker Mike Johnson continues to insist that now is not the time to talk about Democratic Party healthcare concerns.
What they're trying to argue for, not to get too deep in the weeds, is they're trying to insist that the Obamacare premium subsidies be continued. That's a December policy debate and decision, not a September funding matter.
In other words, says Speaker Johnson, trust us, we will have the debate in December. Bullshit. The GOP has built up no goodwill or credibility on any of this. And Democrats who think the Republicans will follow through and support extending the tax credits in December, those Democrats are morons. Sadly, Democratic leaders have had the backbones of morons and jellyfish before. And a few Democrats keep saying, well, when we had the majority, we always pushed for clean funding bills. Remember in 2013 when Texas Senator Ted Cruz and other conservatives said they would help fund the government only if Obamacare was eliminated? We kept a narrow, clean funding bill. Cruz didn't get his way, and the government was shut down for 17 days. But here's the difference between then and now. Cruz and other conservatives were trying to take something away. Democrats now are trying to keep something for the American people. And if the government is going to keep going, the healthcare tax credits should keep going as well. Not with a promise or a wink, but with clear legislative language that passes both chambers. If the Republicans cannot accommodate that, Democrats should withhold support and allow the government to shut down. Yes, Democrats may get blamed for a shutdown, but I believe it's more likely the public will blame Donald Trump and the Republicans who control the White House, the Senate, and the U.S. House. The GOP, the Republicans, they are the stewards of the government. And if the Republicans cannot keep the lights on, it's their fault. Now, I appreciate that a government shutdown may hurt government workers. It will hurt government workers. And Donald Trump is already saying he will use a shutdown to fire more federal workers. Whatever. If Trump does that, He will lose in the courts. It's not a close call. Trump is simply trying to intimidate Democrats, and Democrats must not fold. A few days ago, when Republicans tried to force the narrow House spending bill through the Senate with zero Democratic support, and it failed, raising the prospects of a government shutdown, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer and House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries said they sent President Trump a strongly worded letter. A strongly worded letter? To hell with that. Democrats need to tell Trump directly and forcefully that he can take this GOP continuing resolution and go f himself. If Trump is serious about negotiations and keeping the government going, the bill must include the healthcare tax subsidies. If Trump wants to take credit for it, and take credit for protecting and helping people, Democrats should play along. It doesn't matter what nonsense or delusions Donald Trump spews. What matters is that healthcare costs for millions of Americans are kept down. And if Trump and the GOP are not willing to play ball, let the government shut down. The public blame after a week or a month will be clear. And if it's a political bloodbath for Democrats, Schumer and Jeffries can cave. But on the strong chance that Republicans will be blamed for a government shutdown and for their abject cruelty, Democrats must stand firm. Health insurance costs matter. And instead of hoping for good faith negotiations and compromise from the GOP, Democrats need to demand both. If that means Democrats finally stand up and fight and take a risk, so be it. It's the right thing to do, morally, policy-wise, and politically. No more squishiness and niceties. Stand up, Senator Schumer and Leader Jeffries. Without the healthcare subsidies, tell Trump and Speaker Johnson to go f themselves and to bring on the government shutdown. Enough already. You don't deal with Republican and GOP tyrants and demagogues by playing nice. By the way, House Democrat Jamie Raskin recently humiliated Donald Trump's FBI director over Kash Patel's hypocrisy on the Epstein files.
Have you released all of the stuff that the FBI has seized from Epstein's house? The computers, the emails, the file cabinets, the documents? What about the financial records? Have you released all of that?
Everything the court has allowed us to
Which
release.
court are you talking about?
3 separate federal courts have come in and said...
We're talking about the evidence you've got. It's got nothing to do with what those courts have.
You have...
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular from Red Sox, who wrote, Jamie Raskin is the smartest man in Congress. You can't outsmart him. Indeed. I look forward to reading your comments about the government funding debate and my argument that Democrats, without the healthcare tax credits, should go ahead and let the government shut down. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.